Welcome back, guys. Equity Podcast, Coach Barrick here, where we give you the tools to be fit for life. Intermediate fasting. When we start talking about intermediate fasting, I'd actually like to group it in with basically diets in general. Like diets, specific ways of eating, like carnivore, Mediterranean, paleo, Atkins, whatever, Weight Watchers. They're all calorie restriction. Intermediate fasting, I put in that same group. The idea is that we're trying to limit how much we are consuming. So it's neither good, it's neither bad. It just is. So when somebody tells me that they're intermittent fasting or asks me if they're intermittent fasting, there's two issues that I want to bring up when we start having this conversation. The first one is protein intake. When we are limiting our window of when we are eating, it can be very difficult to get the amount of protein that we need to get in. And the reason that protein is so important is if we're thinking about longevity, if we want to be independent as long as we can, we need to be strong. We need grip strength, we need leg strength, we need to be able to get up off the floor, we need to be able to move ourselves, we need to be able to do all the things that we want to do in the later years of our life. And having the strength to do that is super important. So if we're not getting enough protein, we're not going to be able to build enough muscle reserves in the here and now for when we need it later. If we have those muscle reserves now and we can work to maintain that muscle mass as long as we can, we are going to be more likely to have that strength in the later years. So when we're talking about protein, we're looking for somewhere between maybe a gram of protein per body weight, or maybe like 0.8 grams per body weight, like something in that arena. So if somebody is 180 pounds, we're looking for about 180 grams of protein, and that can be really hard to get in a 4-hour frame or in 2 meals. Like that's really, really challenging. So having the ability to spread that out a little bit more makes it a little bit easier to get in. We need protein to be strong. And if we want to expand our health span, the span of our life that we are able to do everything that we want to be able to do, we need to be strong to be able to do that. And protein is going to help us get there. So we want to make sure that we are optimizing for that. The second part, sometimes there's another way of eating called if it fits your macros, where as long as it fits the macros, eat whatever you want. And that hey, you can lose weight that way. Like you can lose weight just eating McDonald's, or pick your fast food chain. It doesn't matter. McDonald's isn't necessarily the enemy. You can lose weight eating junk food. The problem is, what is your body composition going to look like? How are you going to feel? That is going to be drastically different. So sure, you can just restrict your eating and still lose weight, but how are you going to feel? What's your body composition going to look like? What I've seen when people have a tendency to have these intermediate fasting windows, this can happen, I'm not saying it always happens, is they've built up so much hunger over their fasting that when they actually go to eat, they are not as disciplined in what they're eating, and they tend to overeat. We get into eating real whole food. That is how we get that expanded lifespan. Real whole food. If all I can eat is real whole food in this small window, it's really, really going to be hard to really get all of everything in that I need. And I'm probably going to I'm not going to feel full, because I'm just so hungry, and it takes a long time to eat that stuff. It's going to be tough. So what are people more likely going to go to? They're going to go to the more processed stuff. They're going to go more to the nutritionally dense stuff. And you can eat that a lot faster, and it's more calorically dense, so you're probably going to miss that as well. So we tend to go towards more processed foods, or we tend to just overdo it. Hey, I haven't eaten anything, so now I'm going to eat everything. And it tends not to be good stuff. Oh, I'm really craving this, right? Your body is like, oh, I'm hungry. I need to eat really dense, really sweet, really salty stuff instead of the stuff that we should be eating. Right? And it starts with, oh, I ate dinner, a dinner that regular sized dinner. And it's like, I'm still hungry, eat something else. I'm still hungry, eat something else. And it's just a vicious. It's a chain that just goes into a bad spot. So we can make it work, just like any other diet. We can make it work in the nutrition side. But what we need to do is make sure that we're putting in good habits, that we put in some bright lines into our system where we don't go past those bright lines, some boundaries, right? Some bowling gutter guards. We need to make sure we're getting in enough protein. We need to make sure that we're eating the food that's going to help promote what we want in the future down the road. So, intermediate fasting is not a bad thing. It's not good or bad, but we just want to make sure that it's actually doing what we're supposed to be doing. Are you actually intermediate fasting? Is it doing the things that it's actually supposed to be doing? Or would just eating 3 to 4 meals a day throughout the day actually be a better solution? It could be, or it could not be. With all that being said, if it's something that excites you, if it's something that like, yes, this just totally makes sense to me, then we can make that work. We can make sure it does. We can make it can do the things that it's supposed to do, and we can get to the results that we want to get to. But it's not this cure-all. Just like any other diet isn't a cure-all. It's the habits that we do consistently over time that are going to get us the results that we want. All right. If you think this will help somebody, please share it with them. If you have any questions, let me know. As always, thank you. Appreciate you spending some time with me. Cheers.